Priorities. Priorities are very hard to prioritize. And for the longest time, I thought I was doing a really good job. But recently, because my days have become so full and so busy, I realized that I haven't been doing a good job at all. So this ice cube tray right here kind of represents everything that I can prioritize. So I have a priority and I fill up one of the slots. That slot is taken up, that's a priority of mine. So as I go throughout my day, my week, my month, my year, whatever it is, I fill up this tray with my priorities. Each slot getting one priority. And this slot shows what I will focus on. So the concept behind this is really good. I have 15 slots and I put in 15 priorities. Each priority has its own slot, and those are the things that I focus on. So this idea makes a lot of sense because there's only so many things that I can prioritize. So if I fill up each one, then I have my list of priorities. I know what I need to focus on. The problem though with this current model is that there's all of this extra space in there. And what I mean by that is if I have my priorities here, but there's space for other stuff, then other things are going to creep in. Other things are going to get in the way of my priorities. If I leave space around those priorities and I don't let the things that I need to focus on be real things that I need to focus on, real important things, things that I need lots of time for, then there's room for lots of other stuff to get in there. So what happens is my priorities don't really become priorities anymore. They become clouded with all of this other stuff that I have to do. And it becomes exponential. So even though there's lots of things here, there's still more space. There's still space for things to clutter my life. There's still space for things to get in the way of the things that truly matter. And this can be really frustrating because what was once clear with lots of priorities and a set amount of priorities becomes very unclear, and you can't always see the priorities clearly. So if something that I call a priority has space around it, has room for other stuff, has room for me to relax, then it's really not a priority because then I get clouded with other stuff. And that thing never really gets accomplished because I'm trying to do other things at the same time. And this is such a messy thing because it goes and it goes and it goes and it just never stops. And so instead of focusing on just a few things and doing those really well, I end up focusing on lots and lots of things and doing all of them okay. So here's my solution. I have to get rid of this model and start over. So as I was thinking of how I could fix this problem, my initial thought was that I would change the system that I set up for my priorities, how I create them, how I organize them in my mind. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the problem wasn't the system. The problem was the priorities themselves. I left too much empty space around them. I left too much space for other things to get in the way and cloud those priorities. I'm going to take my old priorities and make them look more like this. These are real priorities. These are real things that require real time to accomplish. There's no room for other things in there. That I can't be clouded with other stuff that has nothing to do with those priorities because these are major, major things that I want to accomplish. So as I pick my priorities, these become completely filled and they have no room for anything else around them. There's no room for distraction. There's no room for anything to get in the way of these priorities. The priorities take up the entirety of this block. And this is a really important thing because filling up these priorities means that I know exactly what I need to do and when I need to do it. There's not other stuff getting in the way. So if this block of time right here is filled up with this priority, then nothing else can get in. There's no room for me to take a break. There's no room for me to watch TV or get on Facebook or do something that's not this priority in this chunk of time. And that's really completely the goal of this. It's to fill up these blocks completely, and that way I don't have anything that gets in the way of my true priorities. And if I try to put something in my priority block that's not actually priority, it doesn't stay. There's no room for it. There's no room for the extra stuff that's been clouding all of these priorities. So the real point is to fill up my day with actual priorities, with actual things that matter. Because actual things that matter don't have room for other things around them. There's no space for distraction. That's the definition of a priority, something that you have to do, and you'll do anything and push almost anything out of the way to accomplish that thing. If I complete a priority and I have an empty block, then it's either my job to not fill that block or fill it up with something that's very, very important. If I choose to fill up this block with something that's not a true priority, then there's that room for other stuff to get in there. There's room for distraction. There's room for things that you don't want to do or things that aren't really important to get into your life. The new goal is to get rid of all of these blocks that don't mean anything. All of these blocks that have empty space in them and that cause distractions and cause other things to get into the way of things that truly matter. So with this new train of thought, the idea is not to manage my priorities better, it's to pick better priorities. It's to pick priorities that actually matter and things that are actually very, very important to me.